You are live. Good. We're freaking live here, baby. Let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Good. Is it evening? I guess it is evening. Good evening, everybody. Say hi, Clem. Hi, Canuck.
Hello.
Hey.
Throw them on the spot right there. My boys are in the house, and kind of surprised me because I did send it to Clem, but we haven't spoke. Gosh, it seems like a minute.
It was just a couple minutes last night, and then
Was it?
yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember. Okay, there's that commercial. There's that one. Crap. I was looking for the regular commercial. I guess I can't find it. Well, I guess reason being is because the people on Facebook who's out there. Hello, Facebook. Hello, Twitter. Hello, what's that? YouTube. Nice to see you. Here we go. I can do it this way. All right. Copy. Browse. Wait, is that? Oh, that's paste. 3? Is that it? That's the commercial? I didn't know that. No wonder I can't find the darn thing. Ochre.
It's trying to hide.
Yeah. It's not valid name. Cancel. All right. So production basic setup videos. All right. I've been looking for this other videos so that those people who are not on Twitch can see it. Because is that it? It is. All right. All right. So now I'm just going to share. All right. So share screen window. This one, share it. Bring it over. Then there we go. All righty then. Play. I think this works. I don't hear anything.
Hi, I'm Joe on Joe Slick Live Show.
Oh yeah, I hear it.
Is on twitch.tv/Joe Slick Live. Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and occasionally in the evenings at 7. During the live show, I review and talk about reports from government, private, and other reporting agencies and websites regarding celestial and terrestrial phenomena. Topics will include solar flares, sunspots, geomagnetic storms, and near-Earth asteroids and comets that are being monitored around the world. Included in the report is current events in the last 12 to 24 hours here on Earth, consisting of volcanic, seismic, and weather events. I close the morning report off with what's happening in the local and world news. Thank you, and you can be a part of the morning report by going to twitch.tv/Joe Slick Live. Look forward to seeing you there, and remember, don't get none on you.
Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell, and the thumbs up. Okay, got it to work. Oh boy. Yeah. And I will be playing this one too. So let me push pause. There we go. How USGS tells you how earthquakes happen. Do you remember this? Because it's not about magnitudes anymore. It's a little bit different. So this gal does a really good job, so I'm not going to take from her. But
How USGS monitors earthquakes. Here we go.
Really use the Richter scale anymore. Instead, we use what's known as the moment magnitude scale. So the Richter scale was developed by Charles Richter and Benno Gutenberg in the 1930s, and it's a logarithmic scale to measure the strength or size of an earthquake. It was developed for earthquakes in Southern California and looks at the amplitude of the squiggles of earthquake waves, known as a seismogram, compared to how far the waves traveled. However, as seismic instrumentation and knowledge improved, we found that the Richter scale actually underestimates the size of large earthquakes. Here enters the moment magnitude scale. It was developed in the 1970s, and like the Richter scale, it uses a logarithmic scale to measure the size of an earthquake. Now, moment magnitude measures the size of an earthquake in terms of the energy released, based on the rigidity of the rock, the distance that the fault moved or slipped, and the area of the fault that ruptured or broke during the earthquake. So now we're not just looking at the amplitude of the seismic waves. We're using a lot more information from the seismograms related to the physical properties of an earthquake. The Richter scale nowadays would only be used for small earthquakes under a magnitude 4 that are recorded locally, and the moment magnitude scale would be considered the standard for pretty much everything larger. So if you hear reports talking about a large earthquake and its magnitude on the Richter scale, they don't actually mean the Richter scale. It's become incorrectly synonymous for earthquake magnitude. And instead, that earthquake was probably measured on the moment magnitude scale. Unfortunately, not as catchy of a name. Many people...
Okay, so that was pretty interesting, right? That the seismic moment is the rock rigidity. I mean, the kind of rock they have there. And we only know that through geology, right? And the distance that one block slips relative to the other block, whether it be up and down or side to side or underneath or up and over. And the area that's ruptured between the blocks. So that's what the seismic moment deal does. And that's why I think there's this disconnect with larger quakes. And I think that's what's going on here. We're like, hey, man, what the hell? Because they're looking at these things differently. And it looks like Okinawa it's an error. Damn, it's an error.
This is from March 16, 2023.
Propagating. That's the first thing I do. I look for the propagation. And
it's not propagating.
Fuzzy bubble. You know, anyway. So these was from
the Earth Consortium.
Scope Consortium. I don't know what's going to come on.
All right, there you go. All right, so we laid a foundation for what earthquakes are and how they measure them. Whoa, what the hell's that?
I don't know what that was.
That was Muffler Boy.
Oh my God. Yeah, Muffler Boy. You can barely hear, just FYI. All right. I had to turn mine down because I was worried about it being terribly low. No. So we laid a foundation for how USGS now sees things. Whoa, it fell apart. Oh my God. Microphone fell. Sorry about that. That's probably what that sound was.
Is it getting ready to break apart?
No, I don't know what happened. But
Haven't your desk fell apart? Now the microphone.
yeah, the desk. I glued the desk to a new board. The desk broke. Well, what happens? I have a desk that goes up and down. You know, like you push a button, it rises or falls, or rises and anyway, it goes up and down. All right, so it goes up and down, and what happened is I leaned on it, popped a screw, and then my mother-in-law leaned on it, popped a screw. My wife leaned on it, popped a screw. It was like, shit, it's screwless, And then
Down she blows.
and then it's like when I was talking to y'all on the morning report, I can hear the desk moving, popping in and out. And you guys probably couldn't hear. You wouldn't know it, but again, it's this. These microphones are pretty sensitive. Everyone's popping screws. Yeah, at least they weren't popping something else. Pills or popping rivets or belly buttons or any other buttons. Screw it.
Yeah. Well, it's never good when you have too many screws loose.
Yeah. Well, I definitely got too many screws. So I cut some boards up and then I glued the thing together today. And it's pretty good. So we did lose about an hour and a half of today. I was down. Relocated the desk a little further closer to the door. Setting up the interview room right there. So that's, again, it's one step at a time. And then probably tomorrow I'll be putting camera wires and audio wires in gray tubing, go up into the ceiling and come back down on the other side. So lots of work being done here at the studio. So it's a continually ongoing process. And it's a lot of fun, but you'll see it. Usually it takes me a few minutes to get things going, but yeah. And then I break out the other cameras, and it'll all happen. Still got to paint another 3 or 4 feet of board. So yeah, and then got to work on our sponsors. Yeah. Oh, there's the shit show with Luke Clemmer. If you haven't seen or listened to the shoot show, it's on Friday nights, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, and figure it out.
Know your time zone.
Know your time zone. Figure it out. And it's a really good show. What Luke does here, what he kind of talks about how people kind of do their jobs in a blue collar environment. I mean, drive trucks, cattle ranching and people who work in a factory, also people who work on the farms and then they sell products back and forth, and how that process kind of works till it gets to your store. So, he kind of, he does a lot, and it's been really, really, really good. And Just Like Studios, it promotes him, as I'm doing now. And go see it over there on twitch.tv / the walleye _king. That's WALLEYE _king. And it's twitch.tv / walleye _king. And you can see him on Friday nights at 10 p.m. Look, you don't need to go down to the bar, man. You can drink a beer and hang out with plenty of other knuckleheads and that sitting there listening and shooting a well, I don't have to do that.
You can just come have a beer with me, because I'm usually having a beer while I'm doing the show.
Yeah. A beer?
Maybe a couple.
He'll smoke 10 packs of cigarettes too at the same time. It's cloudy in his house, in his garage anyway, or in his little studio. There you go. Thank you, Tim. Yeah, and it's if you it's right there on the channel there. You can see. I'll make sure I put that down in the credits for over there on YouTube. And let's see who else. We'll just stay neutral on some of that stuff. No, GFYM trucking. Yeah. You know, yeah. And there's the other one too, the motorboat one. Did you see that yesterday? You had another one there, Clemmerdoodle.
What hook 'em and hold on, deep sea fishing and guiding?
Yeah, there was that one, and yeah, that's what the GFYM, man. They specialize in motorboating. So,
I'm sure.
anyway, let it be that. I'm not going to go into it anymore because people like to make fun of it. They're legit. It's legit, baby. Trucking with a tow truck, motorboating. I don't know, you know. Hey, if you can truck on, baby. Yeah, I gotta go no more. Almost did it. Oh, I'm gonna shut up.
Well, here you need a special license for motorboating.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
permits are expensive.
And Big T-shirt Billy's tramp stamp doesn't count.
No, you need more than that.
Oh, she saw Climmerdoodle. I know. Yeah, Luke's my boy. I love him, and I want to support him in his venture, what he's trying to do. If you don't, please go over there on Twitch and sign up. You know, just follow him. He needs a few followers. I think you need 60 or so followers before you can. You're pretty close.
Yeah, I'm getting right up there. I think I'm at 50.
So you're right. It is good for your mind, and they're talking about driving the trucks, where they motorboat. You know, I don't know, boating. Some people think boating is one thing. I think it's motorboating is what their specialty is. They, you know, and to work out what letters mean in chats. I know, right? I can't figure it out either. Oh my gosh. I love Sue. Anyway, so let's see who's out here. Timmy's out there, Walleye King, of course, my boy. Luke and Susan's out there. Susan 7x70. Canuck, my boy. And just simply Sue, my girl. Flutter Girl, my other girl. And Big T-shirt Billy. And Storm Morning there, yeah. What is a tramp stamp? An ice cream cone? I don't know. It's when Big T-shirt Billy touches his toes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Without paying his leg. Head down what? Anyway, rabbit hole. Let's get back to the rabbit hole. That's a super rabbit hole. Let's stay away from that one.
That's why you always cover Uranus.
Yep, cover Uranus. Anyway, I guess we had an M flare today. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, an M1 I heard.
Yeah, just barely an M1. Yeah, I can see Twitch. We can see it just barely M1. We're already, we're in the middle seas now. Yeah, so it's pretty quiet. Nothing to worry about. What else? My dolphin is hard to see. I don't want to know about your damn dolphin. Quit scratching it. I know, sicko. His dolphin's got fleas.
Oh my god.
The jerkins help.
Wouldn't it be more likely to have crabs than fleas?
Well, I don't know. I don't look close.
It is a dolphin, by the way, you know.
Oh my gosh. This is just anyhow, sorry about that, everybody.
As Snagglepuss says, exit, stay left.
Well, they track all the dolphins with satellites now. So.
Oh yeah, you know. Big T-shirt Billy wishing he can find his dolphin. His belly's in the way. Going back to a dugout. He says, yeah, you better get in your can there, man. Canuck, The latest, because we always look to you first, the latest on Iceland. I know we got some good news, or some news anyway.
Yeah, well, it's still uplifting the same, but they just built a new road into the Blue Lagoon. So they bypassed the gigantic high lava flow. And there's a video on it. Iceland Explorer showed it because he flew his drone over when he went there today to take people in the bus. So he showed what it looks like. And they made another bypass road coming off the bypass road up over the berm right where they were making the wall higher at the power plant.
Yep.
And they brought that bypass road. Only Grindavik residents can go on the bypass road up over the top of the berm, back onto the old road, and then back down into Grindavik over the other lava flow that is between Thorburn and Grindavik, because they put a new road over that too.
They got smoke out there right now over the new road that they've been putting up there by the doohickey, what do you call that thing? The power plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got smoke out there now because they have lava tubes that are still hot and it's still flowing. That's what a lot of people don't know. Oh, it's dead. No, it's still moving. It's still flowing through the lava tubes. It just isn't coming up to the surface. It's lifting the whole thing. So that's what I see, but continue there, Canuck.
Yeah, so basically you can get into Blue Lagoon from the main highway again, just at a slightly different angle than what it was the other time. So the old road that the high lava flow went over before, they're not using that. So they curved it in farther out so it goes towards like where Blue Lagoon is, where the parking lot used to be for Blue Lagoon. And so that's where the new bypass road goes in there. And then in the middle of that, they ran another one off it up over the berm right by where the big lava flow stopped. So it's pretty close to that, and they put it up over the berm, and it connects back to the old road that by the power plant that used to be there before. And that's how the residents are getting back into Grindavik, so they don't have to drive the whole way around again, like what they were doing before to get into Blue Lagoon. So they had to like drive like up through past the airport and down the southern road to get back in.
Yeah, Etna's erupting right now.
Yeah, both Etna and Stromboli are been going crazy the last 2 or 3 days.
Yep, I saw Etna was like puking into the other portion, so it wasn't going anywhere. But right now, I can see it popping off the top.
Yeah, and it was making ashfall, so they had to shut down the airport there. No flights could go in. So it was going up high enough that it was messing stuff up so that they couldn't fly stuff into the Catalina airport or whatever it's called. Catalina, I think. On the island there in Sicily.
Yeah, I mean, the live video from WorldCam shows it's spraying about looks like maybe 50, 60 meters into the air right now, shooting off little tiny lava bombs. But it's still contained. It's not overflowing. Maybe it is, but just from this picture, it doesn't show that it's overflowing. I don't want to do it because of copyright and, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Trying to, don't see anything happening over at Kilauea, although it's been active. I don't see anything over there either. And I can't play Silky's stuff because She's got good reports, but they're a little bit intense, let's just say. Her exuberance is a little bit intense. Yeah, 3 weeks ago, Etna was spewing out gases, and now it's spewing out magma into lava. And yeah, so I'm not seeing anything. There's the other one I was looking for. Oh, we have already seen that one. All right. Yeah. So keeping an eye on what's going on around the world. It's, they're not working right now on the road northwest of the, or is that, let's just do north of the power plant. They made that road like, I don't know, another 30 meters taller.
Yeah.
So hopefully it can ride it out. And they made a new road around the left, and then it comes back around onto the main highway, and it goes right by the whole thing. So, but yeah, that's going on. I don't know if it's daybreak. It might be daybreak coming up. Yeah, it's daybreak coming up right now. It wasn't that dark. So they've been sleeping. Yeah. So
Are they still kind of sweating it out on this next eruption, Canuck, that they're talking about losing Blue Lagoon and the power plant there?
All the volcanologists were all having a fight today, trying to say, is it over, or if it happens again, it's not going to happen for 3 months or whatever. But they never really decided anything because they're all using the same data, but they're just interpreting it different. So there was a big, I forget what I read today about that. It was on something I read today. So anyway, they were having, because Thorvaldsen was the one that said it may not erupt again for like 3 months, or it may be done. And then there was like 2 that agreed with him. And then there was a bunch of other ones that worked for the Met Office that said, no, it's going to erupt in a month. So it was on some show or something over there. They were all on it, all these.
oh, that's
people.
cool. Was it on YouTube or whatever?
No, I read it in an article.
Okay.
It was in an article I read talking about this show like yesterday or today or a day ago or whatever. It was all the volcanologists all talking about what they thought it was going to do. So they were all on the show. And I guess it was kind of a bit controversial. The people said, well, that really didn't help us any, because some were saying it's still going to do it like in a month, and some of the other ones that may not do it for 3 months. So it's like the same thing that's going on with everything else, right? All these people, it's the same as when you read all the studies. One contradicts the other. It just depends on which side of the fence you're on, or which side of the berm. And hopefully the side of the berm you're on doesn't get taken out by lava. That's basically how it works.
Yeah, I'm looking for, that article or that thing you're talking about. Sean Woolsey, he's got his stuff up there. I can't play that either because it's copyrighted for him. Plus, that's
because I watched Woolsey's update today, but all he talked about was the elevation about it rising, and then he went over the study there, Veltrol's one that we talked about before.
Oh yeah.
So he didn't cover anything super new today. Well, he's been away. He was on a river cruise in Germany again, because he was over in Iceland, and then he was back home for a bit, and then he went to Germany for a Rhine River cruise. So he just got back home today. So then he gave an update on Iceland with the information he had since last time, but it's already stuff we already knew about. So
all right, so I'm not seeing anything new. I guess what is it? Yesterday's date would be what, 7/6/24. I don't see anything. Iceland volcanologist. I got geologists, so volcanologists talk.
So basically, what it was is the ones that don't work for the Met Office. We're not agreeing with the ones that work for the Met Office. Basically, what it was.
Yeah, that isn't that the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think the people in the Met Office get a kickback from the Blue Lagoon because I can't believe they're going to open it again. Oh my God.
Oh, well, it's already been open now for a while because they were coming in from it from the
backside.
Yeah, from the backside.
South side, yeah.
Yeah. But now they're back coming in from the regular way now that they fixed the road. It took them 4 days to do it, I guess.
Yeah, it looked like they moved quite a bit of dirt out there too.
Yep. So I guess they're, and then
Yeah, they moved a lot of dirt.
Gylfi, just Icelandic, did a video today too, but he was talking about the business people in Grindavik want to open it back up for tourists and everything. So he came at it from a different angle. He wasn't talking about the other stuff. He was talking about the people in Grindavik itself that he knows, the business side people.
Oh. Yeah, I know we watched the Just Icelandic or the Reykjavik Grapevine. Remember, we used to watch that one too.
Yeah.
They kind of, I don't know, understand what happened. It kind of imploded or something.
Oh, and he gave information too about the kids that are from Grindavik.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to be able to go back there to visit. They're not very happy, I guess, like all the younger people that are from Grindavik. So I thought that was an interesting story because I never heard anybody talking about that before. Because they're missing all their friends, right? That they used to go to school with and hang out with. And so they're all complaining that they want it to be set up some way so that they can go back to town, Grindavik, and like meet all their friends at some point because they're spread out all over the place right now. They're all Reykjavik and all there and other places in the peninsula, so they don't see all their friends from Grindavik anymore. So I thought that was an interesting angle that Just Icelandic did a whole update on, like from the people from Grindavik's point of view. So I thought that was pretty good because you don't hear that too often.
What's that?
You just usually hear the government official side, and then
right,
and then like the professional side giving their opinion about stuff.
Well, I kind of like the guy Thordenson.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I like that guy the most. He seems to be really kind of down to earth. And does he get it right 100%? I don't think anybody does, right? But he was in that meeting I'm sure you saw, or I don't know.
Well, it was an article I read talking about it.
Oh,
but I just don't remember.
Volcano World.
Yeah, what the name of the show it was on or whatever. Well, it was probably all in Icelandic anyway, so I wouldn't know what they were saying.
Iceland volcano town near Blue Lagoon evacuated on danger. That's back in 23. 21, yeah, 2010. So he's the volcanologist that is, and he knows his shit, but I'm not seeing anything new on it.
And what the ones that think that it's all done or it's not going to do anything for like 3 months, They say it's the same as what the Krafla did back in whatever year that was.
Uh-huh.
Back in the,
What happened?
well, how
939 AD?
no, Krafla wasn't that long ago, like in the 80s or something, I think it was, or 70s, because it was up north, but it did fissure eruptions, and it did it like the same number, like what these ones are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the longer the eruptions went on, it got less and less, and it took longer period of times before it erupted, like between each event. And because these same, well, Thorvaldsen was one of them, because he's looked at all the data on the Krafla fissure eruptions. And the other ones that were agreeing with him were saying the same thing, but it's all with the data they have on like the magma and all that, and how long it's taken the numbers for it to like fill back up.
Yeah,
That's
it's going at a slow pace, but not a where it stops. So it's still filling, because the uplift is I don't know, it's nominal, I guess. It's pretty average. It's not like blowing up, but it's, the chamber's filling up, so it spreading. So,
and what they're arguing is that it has to fill up like super full, like more than what it did the previous time, in order to have another blowout. But they're saying it's harder for it to do that because the pipes where everything is coming up to get to the Svartsengi magma chamber are getting more clogged, and they think that's why it switches to a new spot after a certain number of eruptions, because then it finds another easier place where it can bust through, where it's already done it, whatever, 9 times, I guess, now in total, if you add in the Fagrad full eruptions too, because they say it's all the same magma reservoir source.
Well, I could see that every time it erupts or gets right there ready to erupt, it takes a little more effort to melt and push that old plug of magma away so the new stuff can move in,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I don't know what that was. It was somebody's phone, I think.
Yeah, that was my phone. Sorry.
Like, what?
Yeah, we're not going to get any explosions tonight, I hope, but we'll see.
No.
Like the fireworks the other night.
Yeah, some people had a problem with that. I didn't. It's like, whatever. Only thing I have a problem with is USGS not reporting a 4.0 that happened in San Felipe, Mexico, just, an hour south of the border. 4.0, and USGS didn't report it. I have a problem with that.
It's not allowed across the border.
Yeah.
It's the illegal earthquake.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. So I didn't get to read much, but the couple articles that you posted there, Canuck, piqued my interest in regards to electromagnetic frequencies, or not so much the frequency, but when the electromagnetic pulses of crystals within rock failure emanates outward a frequency that, I don't know, does it shatter the rocks more, or I guess they don't really go into that kind of thing, but
well, they think it happens before the earthquake, right?
Right. And they talk about it tunneling.
Yeah. So it has something to do with like the stress building up on the fault.
So if you can see a guitar and you have 6 strings. You pluck the first string and it vibrates, and then it vibrates the second string because of the proximity, and it vibrates the next string because of proximity, and all the way down. With the other article that you posted, really, really interesting how the electromagnetic, I want to call it pulses, I know it's the wrong word, but following the lines from our atmosphere into the core of the earth and then back out again. And they're really talking on that one article how there's a very big possibility that the ground or lower in the atmosphere calls up to the upper atmosphere and creates a connection. And I know I'm taking 2 things out of context, but it's kind of how what we've been saying. It's a little more details that has to happen. I think in the next weeks or so, we're going to, dive into this concept, as well as, volcanics in the West before Professor Nick starts his class. We're going to be talking a lot about, because there just isn't. Everybody talks about the Cascades, but crap, in the last 50 million years, the entire west of the United States has blown up. I mean, blown up. 20 miles from me, the Peach Springs exploded, and magma and lava, hot lava and lahars erupted 100 miles away, 175 miles away. That's how far it went. And it's like, hey, we don't even talk about that stuff. And, and it's 800 feet deep, and sometimes it's 140 foot deep. And it's like, what? Are you freaking kidding me? And those relatively recent times, they've got volcanoes that are happening in the last 2,000 years in the West. Yet we don't know that because it's not newsworthy, right? But when these earthquakes start happening, people are still going to get they're going to start paying more attention. We're due for a pretty good one here in the West. And if it's any look at the last 40 years, how many 7s have happened in the West? From the West Coast, from Baja all the way up to Canada. A few. And so it's like, well, are we forecasting one? No. No. But I think if we think outside the box, looking at some of these, because there's NASA's got one, I think, and I think might be NOAA as well. They have these mechanisms that they show, online for free, and you can see that electromagnetic pulse across the planet during the daytime. And in the nighttime, it seems to go quiet. But during the day, the ionosphere gets charged, and, they're just saying, wow. And they're talking about tunneling and these free radical protons that leave one molecule and then just become free. So activated, they go free. And they travel in certain ways. And there's evidence of these things from the satellites. And it's a separate discipline, but they're not looking at it like the way that I'm looking at it. And the way I think, Canuck, you were kind of looking at it, because you're seeing another portion of the evidence, watching these fires across the planet happen in a specified location in the planet. And it's like, hey, wait a minute. What do you mean? Yeah, they're not random. They seem to be along these
Same lines.
Yeah, these ley lines or lineaments, or along these geomagnetic currents that, many times we see, well, let's look at the hot spots, see if we can see where an earthquake's going to happen. And we used to do that quite a bit. That's because what happens when electricity gets, turned on, it creates a little bit of heat. And if it gets more turned on, it creates a lot more heat. And that there's a frequency in that, and that's how we measure. That's what frequency means. It's just a measurement. Now, what we call it, what we're measuring is whatever. But the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys in a frequency, how often does it turn on versus turn off? And I'm kind of thinking along the lines that some of these articles and these other disciplines are starting to sow the golden thread, so to speak, where fire is part evidence of something happening. And like I've always said, that earthquakes are not the initiator of everything. They are just the response to something that's happening invisibly. We see it in the visible realm. It's like, all right, so what's the mechanism behind it? And I think some of these articles are touching on some of that electromagnetic stuff. And I think the USGS is looking at some of that, and some other agencies as well. What are your thoughts on that, Canuck? Have you been thinking along them same lines kind of too, or?
Yeah, and when I started studying those satellites today that are all the infrared ones or the thermal imaging ones, one of the newest ones that was launched in 2021, Landsat 9, it sends the majority of its data to the USGS, including the hotspot stuff and the fire stuff. So I thought that was interesting when I read about it.
Right.
So that means that the USGS is all on board with tracking all the hotspots and fires and all that too. So why would they be doing that? Because the whole wildfire thing has just been a whole separate thing, right?
Yeah.
Before, because there was like a national one in the States that tracked all of them. And then it was NASA got in on it with all their different satellites, providing the information to them. And now they just launched the new GOES 19 one, which does a whole bunch of stuff. Besides just, it's doing weather, of course, but they have stuff on it that looks at the sun now. A whole bunch of new instruments. They just launched it June 24th.
Yeah, that's the one they just launched. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was reading about all the different stuff that they have on it now, because it was all on the SpaceX site about what was all on that satellite and what they've added to it compared to the other ones. And so it's more advanced. I imagine there'll be, I don't know what point they'll use it. Probably they'll use data from it to replace some of the other stuff that they're using on firms now, I would imagine. Because firms is using like 5 different satellites right now.
Pretty crazy. These satellites, they're just starting to, the reason we bring it up is some of the data that's coming out of these things, they're kind of looking at the data with new eyes, trying to say, wait a minute, is this telling us something else? So that's kind of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, because what I basically did, I went in and looked up on firms where you go to get like the KML files and all that stuff. It tells you what the names of the satellites are. So then I just looked up the history of each one. So that's how I figured out how it's working. So when we first started doing this, it was just hotspot data mainly from the GOES satellites and the MODIS satellites. There's 2 MODIS ones. And
Right.
they're old. They're from like the year 2000. So they're like 24 years old.
Yeah, there's some of these satellites, their timetables are just about up.
Yeah.
Just about space junk.
But the other ones they use for the hotspots now, the ones that have the VIIRS, which is the infrared stuff, sensors on them. There's 2 of them. One was launched in 2017 and the other one in 2021. And they're going to launch a couple more of those type by 2031. So there'll actually be 4 in the series of those by the time they're done launching them all. So like every time they add a new one, they take some data out that they're using for the hotspots, which is why you need so many KML files now.
Right.
To put on Google Earth to get all the stuff, because they're using 5 satellites when before they were only using 1 or 2. So it was like way easier before. This is all since like just in the last 2 or 3 years. So it's making it harder to do what I was trying to do before.
Because there's so much data.
Yeah.
Well, you're a triple decker brain, so we know you're together with the group of us, we can accomplish what the AI can do in 10 seconds. But the AI doesn't know what it's looking at because it's a programming. This image I have on the screen is basically if the circle in the middle is the Earth and the lines on the outside are what we call the L shells. Those are magnetic lines that are go around our planet and protect us, our geomagnetosphere, protect us from the solar radiation, from extra planetary radiation and extra, solar system radiation. And sometimes they don't. But these lines, when the electromagnet, like this is the currents on, like you turn flick the light on in your house, and if you touch the positive and negative, you're going to get a good shock. These things are lit up like that too, and the core of our planet is, well, they say it's iron, liquid nickel, around that, and anyway. Let me just circle that in. So, it's a strong magnet, and the currents travel, around these things, these L shells, and in some of these L shells, and I'm trying to draw around circles around just the purple one here. It's kind of hard to do with a mouse, but hey, you get the hint. And no, it's not curly hair. But protons, electrons, neutrons follow these things. And at certain levels, those levels are excited. And a proton will leave a molecule and go to another. And what they're saying is, if a proton gets activated out here, it could go down to this level, or down to this level, or down this level, down to this level, toward the planet. And if it does, which they didn't believe it would happen before, if it does, then something in our planet is, basically calling it, right? It's a detracted. So if you have a positive and a negative, they're gonna attract each other. But if you have a positive and a positive, they're gonna
repulse each
other. So what's happening is they're seeing molecules, not molecules, but smaller molecules, elements float closer to the Earth. And you know, you got a nucleus of an atom, and you got a proton and a neutron, or let's say two molecules of oxygen, or it's water, right? So it'd be a one proton and two, it's one helium and two oxygen, right? That's water, H2O. So it's two O and one O, you know, right? So it's two hydrogens and one oxygen to make a molecule of water. What they're seeing is one of these is getting kicked off and traveling because it got excited. They didn't believe that the exchange between the different L shells was going on until recently. And we've been talking about it here on our rabbit holes. And I know I'm not speaking of 100%. I'm trying to dumb it down because I'm a dummy. And basically, so it'll remain as hydrogen up here, just a molecule of two hydrogens is one oxygen. Let's say the oxygen goes down because it has, you know, a proton and a whatever around it, right? I don't know what it takes to have a hydrogen molecule, but you know, protons and neutrons, electrons, each one of these, and so it'll change. And as it does, it travels, and then that proton attaches itself to another molecule. And what they're seeing is, in one of the articles, is sometimes on going around the planet, if I zoomed in at a closer level, they'll see waves of energy. I'm calling it energy because there's no other way to really call it. Waves of energy that go around the planet, go around the backside and the forth side here. And these waves have kind of structure to them, like a little C's or little C's or backwards and forwards. You know, one's on one side, one's on the other. And these are excited molecules coming from up in the atmosphere, traveling around our planet. But the thought process is this: they're starting to think that it originates on the crust going out. That's changing these things. And sometimes this stuff, you know, it's bumped up, will cross itself, and they'll call it an X. So they'll see that, and they won't see this portion. So it'll cross over.
So sometimes it's C shapes and sometimes it's X shapes, depending
correct.
on what it's doing.
And the only reason they can see this stuff is because of the satellites.
Yeah, so they're using a different satellite for this that they're using to monitor the ionosphere. So this is where they're seeing this stuff, is in the ionosphere.
Right. Well, below the ionosphere. Yeah, it's coming closer toward the Earth. Now, there is a, and it looks like Crete just had a little bump. Indonesia and little Japan. And Hollister, ooh, Bella, Canada still banging away. So, yeah, it's still happening in the planet today. Let me try to find one of the images. Crap, where the hell would I put that? I know I did it. Did I put it in the downloads? All right, so which one would it be? Maybe this one. We touch on so many articles in a day, so it's really, really, really difficult to just say, oh yeah. You may have to go to my bookmarks. Yep. Where's the yup? Integrated space analysis. ICE, is that on it?
Here, I'll get it to come up on my
Right.
other computer.
Yeah,
Just have it right here.
Yeah.
I'll just copy it.
Shimmer Dead Sea. Dead Sea. I got a lot of Dead Seas because we're studying this one is a study of energy dissipating from a fractal framework. Good stuff we've been discussing, but or reading bookmarks and this. All right, I gotta. Where the hell did I put that one? Crapple shawl. Come on.
Because that's the article right from the NASA site, so they go into the
Yeah.
detail.
And I put that link on my page here, but I can't find the damn thing now.
Because when I read it, the first article I read was just like a normal article, but then I went to the main one because I wanted more information.
Yeah. All right. So.
Because I think the original one I read that came up in my news feed was a live science one. So
Right.
I read it and then found the link to the actual thing from NASA. So I went right to it.
And that's SVS, I think it's called. I think I'm coming up right now. Did you already put it in there? Oh, you did. All right.
Yeah.
Alphabet soup. NASA's gold. Yeah. That's the one it talks about. Yeah, that's the one. And here, I can share that with you. Dun, 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 dun.
And it talks about in there that they notice it doing this, like when there's big volcanic eruptions, when there's flares or geomagnetic storms.
Right.
But sometimes it does it too when there isn't
much going on,
anything happening, and they gave different examples in the article.
See, here's an X, how it crisscrossed right here in the middle. This energy crisscrossed, and there's a lot of times that we're talking here about. It appears that it jumps from one lineament to another lineament. This energy, and I think this is what's being seen up in the atmosphere through Gold satellite or NASA's Gold mission from, and they're checking out the ionosphere, which is way the hell up there. So this is the reason why we watch what's going on solar-wise and on the Earth. It's not just one or the other. Also, they're talking about in some of these articles that we've got that the ground is dictating these things. And say, what? Yeah, storms, like tornadoes and stuff. They're wondering why a tornado might affect the ionosphere or vice versa. They just haven't made the connection back the other way. They're starting to think one way. And it's something that we've put out many times, that there is a connection. We're not sure what that connection is yet, but piecemeal here, piecemeal there, and then this discipline and that discipline, and then bringing them together going, hey, wait a minute, there is a connection, that earthquakes can be seen prior to their event. And the one article regarding the Dead Sea, they saw it. They saw it happen. And they saw it happen prior to the Turkey quake.
Yeah, because the Israelis have a satellite that they're using to monitor electromagnetic things coming out of the faults.
Right.
Because they've been talking about it here for I don't know how long now. I don't know how many years it's been, but that's what all these studies are tying into. Because what they're talking about the Dead Sea Fault responding to what
happened in Turkey.
Yeah, what happened in Turkey there last year, because they're watching the Dead Sea Fault because they're concerned about it, right?
Yeah,
Because they don't want
the Anatolian Fault, which is what this thing was. It was on the southern Anatolian, or is it what they call a western one? I don't know what it's called. I think it was a southern Anatolian.
It's the Eastern
Anatolian.
they
Yeah,
call
it moves at 25 millimeters a year. The Pacific Ocean moves pretty quick too. The San Andreas doesn't move that fast. It moves 10. It moves twice as fast as the San Andreas. That almost 3 times as fast. So they're watching pretty carefully over there now. And this is just one satellite. Here's the little C's that we're seeing on both sides, and the X. Here's another video. See, these are the L shells on the screen. This is the energy being spun. And they're starting to see what? Under the combination influence of gravity, the Earth's electromagnetic field, charged particles in the ionosphere flow upward and outward away from the Earth's magnetic equator, forming 2 dense bands or crusts to the north and the south equator. This is what I was talking about. This energy, it goes around the planet. And you can see these, we see these all like what's going on in the on this one, the geomagnetosphere movies, right?
Yeah.
We can see what happened, the pressure coming from the sun outside of our planet, and then this is all outside of our planet affecting us. Then there's the ground magnetics perturbs. This is what is also being seen. This is recent, okay? So these movements along the planet are around the polar regions. That's part of it, and that's part of it. Whoop, I don't know what happened here. But these charges, these free radicals, I would call them, can happen in quiet zones, they said too. Unexpected X-shaped crust from quiet conditions. The ionosphere is sensitive to disturbances from both space and terrestrial weather. Gold has previously revealed that after a solar storm or a huge volcanic eruption, the crusts in the ionosphere can merge to form an X. But now gold has seen X shape from a multitude of occasions when there was no such disturbances. What scientists referred to as quiet time. Early reports of merging were only during geomagnetic disturbances, and in those conditions. It is unexpected feature during geomagnetic quiet conditions, though. Fazlul from University of Colorado, who led the author of the paper about this discovery. In April 24, which came out in the journal Geophysical Physicists Research.
Yeah, they don't mention cosmic rays, but I think cosmic rays do the same thing when it's
agreed. Again, that's another discipline.
Yeah.
You know, this guy's discipline is just talking about this, and things are happening when they don't expect them to happen. Earth's dynamic interface to space, extending some 50 to 400 miles overhead, the ionosphere becomes electrically charged during the daytime and when sunlight strikes our planet, and its energy knocks electrons off atoms and molecules. This creates a soup of charged particles known as plasma that allows radio signals to travel long distances. See, people are using them to travel long distances, but there's still work. These things are happening. Near Earth's magnetic equator, charged particles are funneled upward and outward along magnetic field lines, creating 2 dense bands of particles north and south of the equator that scientists call crests. At night, falls and the sun's energy fades. Low density pockets in the plasma called bubbles can form the ionosphere. Because of their varying density, the crests and bubbles can interfere with radio and GPS signals. It's like you got a magnetic field. Something's messing with it. And they're trying to figure out what the heck is messing with it. And
Well,
Interesting.
I think that's what that anomaly is that's down by Bouvet Island too. The triple
Mm.
junction that happens that they were catching on Venture Sky
Yeah, but
until
just,
they
you know,
stripped it.
till they lessened the approach because it's scaring people.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Um, I find it interesting. I find it interesting that this article just barely came out April 24, and we've been kind of talking about how along the L shells things are going on, and man, if this doesn't talk about it in some sort of concrete way, we can see something, and we didn't really just said it out loud what was going on because we don't really know, but these guys know.
Yeah, I saw that article too that one Eden's talking about. Yeah.
Oh, even
About
something, yeah.
Yeah, about it moving backwards. But I thought I saw something about that before too, where it was a different part of the core was moving the opposite way or something. So I saw the one here. It was just like recently, the last few days, but I never.
Yeah, I don't know that it's going backwards, dude. I don't know how the hell they can do that. When you got a what is it called? Remember what our friend used to call it, a toroid?
Yeah.
How do you spin a toroid back the other way? It just might be doing its thing, dude. It's like you got in the old days we had this.
Yeah, but what they keep finding now, there's different layers inside the core.
Right.
So there, it could be that those layers are going
one way and the other way. Yeah.
I don't know.
Or it can just be a bunch of electricity.
Yeah, and they say that there's a bunch of different waves coming from it too at different times that go around the Earth, and they keep detecting all these new waves that it's doing, and it sends like a wave that goes around, and it takes a certain amount of time. Some are faster, some are slower. Just depends on what it is. So it's all crazy stuff.
Yeah. Elemental layers due to atomic weight. Yeah, molecules. And it's interesting. You can put a couple molecules together and create something, right? If you get a bunch of them, you got something else. The old desire to create gold out of thin air by putting molecules together.
But to me, everything is still working like how it works because we're still getting all the same stuff. So you would think if all this stuff was switching around or whatever, it would mess everything all up and it would be pretty obvious. But maybe that's just what it does all the time.
Well, wouldn't you have a polarity flip too?
Well, maybe if the whole thing flipped, but I don't know if the whole thing is flipping. What if it's just one layer that's doing it?
Yeah, interesting, huh?
Like maybe that's what it does. Is just we've detected this other layer and saying, "Oh, look, it's going the opposite way." Well, maybe it's always been going the opposite way. It's just we haven't detected it.
We haven't detected or didn't look for it. Yeah. New discoveries happen all the time. So, it may be, but there are people out there that put on YouTube fear, and then they hook the person who's, concerned and saying, well, what do we do? Well, and so they hook that person, and then after a while, it's kind of like the hype machine, and
it's like them talking about it wobbling, the entire Earth wobbling. Well, it may wobble, but it's still rotating. Stopped rotating.
It's been doing that for a long time.
And when you spin a top, it does the same thing, right? It wobbles. So
and the moon's leaving the atmosphere. What is it? Half an inch or an inch a year? 50 million years. I thought
it was like a centimeter a year or something.
It's something crazy, yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, so eventually it's going to take off and
Well,
head for Mars.
and they talk about how the Earth's magnetic field is getting weaker. Well, there are times it's weak and there are times it's strong. So when it gets strong, does that mean it's going to pull the moon back in? Oh,
Yeah. Well, the moon just
You know?
wants to, it's getting tired of Earth, so it wants to go somewhere else to visit.
well, we don't know, you know.
Oh, and I never posted the article, but I read more stuff this week on the Mars quakes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so they think they figured out what they are.
yeah. Nanu.
No, what it is more space rocks are going through the Mars atmosphere because its magnetic field is weaker,
Uh-huh.
and when they hit the ground, that's what's making the seismic thing. Because I guess one of the Mars rovers almost got hit by a space rock. So then they said, oh, well, let's check all the data and see if we can find out if there was space rocks coming in and hitting. And that's what they think it was now.
Yeah. Where's the moon right now? Where's Uranus?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Whoop, that's tsunamis. Sorry.
Well, the moon has quakes too from stuff hitting it.
Yeah.
No, same idea.
Planet positions. There we go. All right. So bear with me. I'll share that with you over there. Share. Oops. Share.
What would be the odds of a space, a little meteor, a little space rock hitting the Mars rover? That's 1 in 100 trillion.
Yeah, but they actually did a calculation to figure out how many were hitting it in a Mars day. And they did. They figured out like what it was. I can't remember the number. About how many space rocks were getting through Mars' atmosphere because it's way, like the stuff doesn't burn up like it would in Earth.
Yeah, it's like what, 1/10 of our atmosphere or something?
Yeah, so what they were saying was the space rocks get through it easier and then smash into the Mars.
Yeah.
And then they're picking that up on the seismos on
And Mars is a hell of a lot closer to Jupiter than we are right now.
Yeah, and that's what they said too, because it's closer to the asteroid belt.
There's an asteroid belt that floats between Jupiter and the sun, and we cross it twice a year. We cross it right around July 1 and then again in November. So we go through this stream of stuff that's constant. And what one belief is that the Tuskegee rock was one of them. And we had something that was, a mile go through the atmosphere, pretty close. And
wasn't that over in Russia?
Yeah, Tuskegee was in Russia, yeah. Or what I call it Tuskegee. I don't know. I might not say it right word, but the one that blew up over the forest.
Yeah, Siberian blew
right.
up the trees.
And what had happened, the belief is if on Earth you're looking at it and you see it, it looks like it came out of the sun. So they got a date on that. They can determine that because that's what people said, witnesses 40 miles away or more. It looked like it came out of the sun. It had a baby and it crashed on us. And then there are other times during the other season when it's coming from out of space. And so you can't see it either. So it's like, and we cross this thing twice a year. So the FOS, that's another reason why we do the things almost every morning about the potentially hazardous asteroids. Because
didn't they just discover one here not too long ago that came buzzing by Earth really close?
Yes, and that's what I talked about. Yeah, it went between us and the moon. There's another one that traveled 1 million miles out, just the other side, between the moon and Mars. Asteroids are out there, and they don't know where they all are. And there's cycles of asteroid, the way their orbits in our atmosphere.
And we crossed that thing, like since Pluto was discovered, it hasn't made one full rotation around yet. That's pretty interesting right there. So when it does, it's a long damn time. So there are asteroids, it's like the star of David that when Christ was born, right? Maybe we don't cross that star for another 2,000 years. So it's on a 4,000-year cycle. Or maybe it's like Apophis, which is coming in 2019. They still don't know if it's going to hit the Earth. They're hoping it's not. But it's a city killer. And it's going to swing back past us, past the sun, come back around, and then come towards us again. As it goes
didn't it
back out to
in
space.
2019? Didn't it
Yeah,
slide through the
2019.
Keyway or whatever?
Friday the 13th. Yep. And 2029. Yeah. So, hey.
So we got 5 years till Apophis flies by.
Yeah.
Or hits us. One or the other, or both.
Yeah, 189,000 miles distance. Yep. Yeah. Far out stuff. And these orbits are, pulled in like the Levy 5 or whatever it was. Like, it broke up an asteroid as it went by. And then as it came back around, it pummeled Jupiter. And there's still scars on Jupiter from it. So it's like, hey, Schumacher, whatever, Levy 5 or whatever it was. It did a number on Jupiter. If that damn thing hit our planet, our little tiny planet, we wouldn't exist anymore. And sometimes we have to put things in perspective. Life is tenuous. Enjoy it. Tell somebody you love them, because maybe tomorrow you're not around no more. You're not going to care because you're not going to be able to say, oh, I'm sorry. That is until you meet God, whenever that happens. Maybe it happens instantly. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But far out stuff, to be absent of bodies, to be face to face with the Lord, for us who, are his children, but for those who not accepted him yet, well, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go there. I'll get to preaching and you don't want to hear that. I don't want to drive people away. But
and I'm going to put the article in about the Greece satellites.
Oh, Greece the satellites? All right, cool.
Yeah, I'm going to put that in there now so everybody can look at it.
That's the wildfire system.
Yeah. That's all run by AI, so it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, run by AI, yeah. Yeah. And again, Canuck, why don't you explain this? Because you and I have talked about it, but they didn't.
Yeah, well, Greece has been so concerned because all the fires they've had the last couple of years. And they want a system where they can, find out immediately, when it's starting, so they can get a response to it super quick. So this company from Germany that they're getting that's making the satellites for them and devising this system, the wildfire system, it's basically firms on steroids, because it's using the satellites that they're making. They're making them right now. This German company is, and I think they've already launched one, but they're going to launch 4 by the end of 2026. And these ones are specifically for just monitoring Greece for wildfires and hotspots. And what they're doing now, the one that they already have up, and the program they've created, this company that's in Germany, because how the satellites work, because I didn't understand what they were talking about, so of course I had to research it. There's so much stuff, information coming from all these different satellites now, that there's private companies here on Earth that are taking all the information and deciphering it. So this company that's in Germany specializes in the thermal imaging stuff that's coming from all the different satellites, including the ones that firms uses for the wildfires and hotspots. So right now, that company's taking data from 20 thermal imaging satellites and putting it into this AI program that they're using to figure out how the wildfires work. And they can actually predict or forecast how the wildfire is going to go once it starts in a certain spot, and put all the information that the satellites are viewing into it. And they're the first company that's doing this with just one particular country. So Greece is going to be the first one to have this new crazy satellite monitoring for wildfires and infrared stuff, so they can see all this stuff right when it happens, and then the AI can tell the firefighters where to go to put it out. That's what it talks about if you read further into it. So it's like crazy stuff. And another thing they're going to do, besides these 4 satellites, eventually they want to put 100 low orbit satellites, which are basically like the same level as Starlink, or in the same area, same level, that's doing the same thing, so they can get it even more.
Yeah, they want to put 8 satellites up there.
Yeah. Well, it started with 4, then 8, but then when I read into the thing more, they want to do like 100 of the low orbit satellites too. So it's crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all the stuff they're doing that they say just to monitor wildfires, but I wonder what else they can. Because see, when I started reading about the other satellites just don't do thermal imaging. They have all sorts of different things on them. So there may be ones they use for thermal imaging, but they're just one instrument that's on a particular satellite. But there may be other instruments that are on the same satellite that are used for other different things. So it's crazy stuff. And so Greece has signed a deal with that company and with the European Space Agency to launch it. So I don't know if they'll launch it from over there, but I did find out the European Space Agency is launching a lot of their stuff also from Vandenberg Space Force Base too, in California. When I started looking into the names of all the different satellites and when they launched them. So it's pretty interesting, all this stuff. So SpaceX is actually shooting a bunch of stuff off for them too. So
well, yeah, they just
stuff because they make the rockets that they use to get up there. So
in wildfire management, speed and accuracy initial response can significantly influence the containment and eventual suppression of fires. Since 2020, Oratech has been helping. Aracu is the ARAUCO, a leading paper and forest production manufacturer with headquarters in Chile, to protect assets from fires. Throughout the years, our wildfire solution has proven to be very effective for timely hotspot detection and wildfire monitoring, serving as an essential for our customers during devastating fire seasons. This year, our newest fire spread product designed for situational awareness and fast estimations on how fire will develop had yet to be tested on the field. This explores how our customers from Chile utilize fire spread in real-life scenarios to combat wildfires on the ground, and what future enhancements are needed. So in Chile, they're using this already.
Yeah.
So
well, another thing a point I would like to make is a good reason to have, almost like a live feed on your country to, if you see a fire pop up, I mean, them minutes can make a big difference of them containing it in a couple hours, or it becoming out of control and it burning 100,000 acres.
Yeah, we on 4th of July, I had a fire here at my house. It burned 830 acres, and
It's on firms, but it's not alive anymore. It's dead. But we were all out there, all the neighbors in our area. And it happened right out behind our house, maybe 100 yards away. And it moved so quick. And I've got video up on our Facebook where one of them, you can see a fire tornado.
Right.
With many vortices in it. You can see the flames spinning multiple times, just like a normal tornado has multiple vortices in it. And that some bitch was huge, every bit of 100 foot around. I mean, circumference, because it was every bit as big as the big water tank. And the water tank, is enough for, 300-400 people. Just that one tank, because we're supposed to have 12,000 gallons per house. So, and they've got 300 or 400 houses out here. But what's interesting is firms would see it, and that's the one that USGS uses, or the US uses. Firms, US and Canada, and Canucks got one that he found that'll actually go other countries. I don't know if Firms does.
Yeah, it's the firm's global map.
Well, the global fire map.
Yeah, the firm's 5 satellites go all around the Earth.
Yeah, I got it now. But I looked up my fire next to me. It's called Golden, and let me see. They've got it 831 acres, but it's contained and it's done. Yeah. So,
but if your fire department could have got an alarm from a satellite, saying, "Hey, there's a 1 acre fire going on right now at such and such a location."
Yeah.
When the fire department got out there, maybe they could have stopped it at 40 acres instead of it burning 800 something.
Right. And they did a backfire, and the backfire got a little out of control, but the wind wasn't like, we get some serious winds up here, and the winds weren't really big. But we did have the whirligigs going around, or dust devils as some people call them. And what had happened is a dust devil picked up somebody's shade thing in the backyard and flipped it up into the power lines. And that's what started the fire. So somebody's thing wasn't bolted down, or, their umbrella, those big umbrellas. And we had a power outage here the site went down, everything went down. Then it came right back up, but 10 minutes later. But because that thing got sucked up in one of these dust devils, and it burned pretty good, it burned pretty good. So we'll see how it will go in the summer. Even the firemen, later that night says, well, we'll see. Some other places burned too, but they didn't have too many people out. They're protecting structures. It was out in the middle of a field, and it wasn't too bad, But, you get out there, with your shovel just in case, I never know. And my buddy, my next door neighbor, he's got, a couple of fire hoses. But if there's no power, the fire hoses ain't going to work.
Yeah.
So,
and kind of F well at that point.
Yeah, that's why you bring a shovel. Throw some dirt on the fire and try to knock it down. Steer it away from your house or your neighbors.
Got to use a bunch of buckets with dirt in them, or water if you can find it.
Yeah.
Like what they did
back in the rubber mat.
Mm-hmm.
Put a big rubber mat on a stick.
Yeah, smother it. Yeah. But we were wondering about these guys out here, the firemen, and we appreciate them, the forestry. And they like they said, they had to go let a backfire so it wouldn't come into the community. No, I wasn't 42. Man, I wanted to, but man, it's so dry out here right now, man. No way. I mean, my house is one thing, but when I got a bunch of neighbors, no. You know, and my second favorite holiday, I couldn't celebrate. Damn thing broke.
Are fireworks even legal down there right now, bud?
Oh yeah. There's videos where you can buy the big ones. Yeah.
Yeah, they just don't encourage you doing it when it's too dry, basically.
Yeah, they have a moratorium on fire pits and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Change your way, bud. I know I did. Yeah, this thing broke loose again. Damn.
But there's other states now where you can't even get them. They won't even let you.
Well, you know, people lose their fingers and get burned. I tend to make the bombs, and you know, with a Piccolo Pete, man, that's all I need. Piccolo Pete and a liter water bottle, an empty water bottles, about a liter of them, and
well, someone fired one here off earlier tonight down by the river.
oh yeah,
We heard it, saw it, yeah. So, but they probably had to go to the Indian Reserve to get
it. What you commies up there allow the Indians to live?
Oh yeah, they can sell all sorts of extra stuff that the commoners can't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because they used to have them in all the corner stores here. You could get them. You just go to the convenience store.
The firecrackers on the frogs. I don't think the French would like that. You know, I don't think they would like that.
Well, I'm not in Quebec. I don't even think they have fireworks anymore.
I don't think they have frogs either.
Yeah. So I don't know.
What got blown up?
They barbecued them up. Pair of pliers, squeeze the peat. Nah, you know what? The big T-shirt. I found it better. You get a liter bottle. Take a plastic bag, and put it over the top, and just indent it over the little hole. Indent it down a little bit, and put the whole Piccolo Pete powder in that. Then you drill a hole for the fuse through the lid. Put it right through, and it's really tiny. So you put that thing, then you put that lid on there, light the fuse, and get the hell out the way, because it is a massive bang.
Yeah, the fire department here shoot off all the fireworks that they have for special events and holidays, but they shoot them like out over the river.
Well, that's good to do it over the river, I guess. Any fish come floating up?
No. It just lights them all up, so then they can see to go get them.
Yeah, the reason I don't do the Piccolo Pete's anymore, squeezing them, is because they tend to take off and go someplace. When you do it the other way, like I told you, it's more like a firecracker, more like an M80, M100 maybe. Maybe I don't think it's a 200.
I used to just take the old school sparklers that had the metal stick on them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd take like 500 of them, duct tape them all up, and just leave one long in the center. And you light that up. You got about, I don't know, however long it gets to the main one.
About 10 minutes, yeah.
And well, it was probably like a minute.
Oh,
but then it would blow up just like a stick of dynamite would.
Really?
We used to see metal trash cans 50, 100 feet in the air.
Yep. I've done that. Yeah, M80's rock. M200s are better. I think that's a quarter.
I just like duck bombs.
What's that, bud?
I said I just used to use duck bombs, half a stick of dynamite.
Yeah. It's a little bit harder to come by for the normal person.
Yeah.
Plus, it's all registered and all that, But
I don't know.
Where?
They just dug into the ground here. Saw an article yesterday. They dug into the ground and got into an old mine, and they're way down there, and a whole bunch of dynamite was down there. So it's like they just found a bunch of dynamite from like the 1800s. Like, what?
Yeah, good thing they didn't drill into it. That would have been
No kidding. Wrap it up tightly, grocery bags, use fuses for the firecrackers and light it. Yeah.
I drilled holes with a jackhammer for dynamite when I worked for the Department of Transportation one year, so that was fun. But they wouldn't let, only certain people could handle the dynamite, so they wouldn't let us touch it.
Yeah. Those are people without kids, and you know that they got a disease, or if they blow up. That's okay.
Yeah, they didn't mind us drilling the holes for them, but they put all the dynamite in there.
You know, I don't know. There's another thing. You bring up Canada. You know, Canada has that. You know, if you're dying, that they can suicide assist.
Yeah, it depends on which province you're in.
Yeah.
Quebec's the worst. They just get rid of you there anytime they feel like it.
Yeah, I guess Canada did like 830 last year.
Yeah.
Do you know how many were done in California?
I don't know. How many?
No, how many?
Over 25,000.
Yeah. Well, it's way more people, I guess. So, there you go.
Yeah. Canada is the population of California.
Yeah.
Now California, everybody's bailing. Hey, I'm going to die. You know, big T-shirt. Billy's got to get the hell out of Dodge, but he ain't going to get out Dodge. No. He's stuck like a truck in the mud. You know, where the suction's holding it down. You know, he ain't going to make it. He going to wear his Crocs and drink his Bud Light until whatever.
Yeah, well, my guess the assisted suicide in Canada is probably, I haven't looked it up, but my guess is it would be Quebec, Ontario, and BC.
Yeah, that's probably true, Lake Girl. Nice to see you. Probably use the dead as compost.
Which those are the most liberal provinces. So
yeah, right.
That's how it works.
I know a hamburger, they did a DNA test on a hamburger the other day, and they found over 110 different strains of DNA in it. That's pretty scary.
That was just at McDonald's, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't ever eat McDonald's no more. No more.
I haven't ate at McDonald's in over 10 years, so. Yeah.
I think I don't remember the last time I ate it. Yes, last year sometime. He says, no way. Yep. I hope everybody Saturday night's doing well. Eden and 42 and Kanaka's here with me, and Lake Girl, Simply Sue, Flutter Girl. And those of you who I'm not going to say your names, but because you don't want to be said. Dr. Jack Kevorkian. Is that guy died? Yeah. Somebody did something. Nice to see you. How's the hubby there, Lake Girl? It's warm. You guys going to get into the desert again here soon? They like to do it's not parasailing, but it's like in a boat, but in the riverbeds, in an empty lake, you know. Doing great. Resting his eyes right now. Right on. 9:00. Land sailing. There you go. And I watched a video of him here last year. Pretty interesting. Dry lake beds, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if we have any ones up. Well, we do. We have one up in the north of me. But I don't know how smooth it is. But
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably not as flat as the Great Salt Lake.
Yeah. Well, there's China Lake and all that. There's another one down by the border they go to. Red Lake is near me. Yeah. I don't know where the hell Red Lake is. Where they source cheapest meat in the tongue and grind it all up. Nasty turd.
It's like making hot dogs.
Great Salt Lake ruins their tires. Yeah. I guess. I don't know where Red Lake is. Is that AZ or in Cali? Red Lake, Tonalea, Arizona. I don't know where the hell that is. Tuba City. Well,
There's Arizona.
yeah, that's up past the Grand Canyon. Yeah, it's you know what it is? It's almost in the it's in the reservation, Navajo Nation. It's almost in the Four Corners region, where all that what do you call that? I don't know. Tonalea. It's near Tonalea. I think that's the right one she's talking about. Yeah, they won't sail there, I see. All right. Is it near Tonalea? Let me see. Share this screen. Red Lake. Share that. Tonalea is in Arizona here. Here is Flagstaff here, and where that thing crashed into the asteroid crashed into the world is right here. Meteor crater's right here. So Meteor crater's here, but Tonalea is way north. Yeah. That'd be a trek to go there. Is that where you go, Lake Girl? See it, layers, terrain, traffic. Guess I can look at satellite. They got elephant's feet out here. I don't know where the heck they would. Yeah, I don't know where the heck they would race out there. I don't see a lake. Unless this is a big old lake. I don't know. I wonder if it's flat out there. I don't know. We stayed at Lake Mojave in January. Yeah, I know you did. It rained and it was all wet. That's the last time I think we got any rain here. Was back in January. Across the way, it got some, 10 miles away, but I don't know. Hour and 49 minutes. What? This is a serious rabbit hole. Where do we start this?
It always ends up being like 2 hours.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the other channel probably shut us off. Yeah, I don't know. It went so quick. Interesting discussion tonight. The articles you posted earlier, Canuck. Thanks for posting those. They've got my wheels are spinning, and I'm distracted by it.
Yeah, well, I'm figuring out the faults under Oroville Dam now too.
It's when that thing goes, dude. Oh my land! It'll be just like the LA one.
Because there was 5.8 right by it in 75. And they said they felt the quake all the way in Nevada, but yet they blamed it on the water in the lake 6 years after they made the dam. So I said, well, that's kind of weird. Why would you feel that all the way in Nevada? So that's weird.
Yeah.
So they've done studies since, and they said, oh, well, there's an unknown fault under there that goes north to south, but they haven't named it yet, I guess, by what it said, because the quake was at 5 kilometers deep when I looked it up. So that's down there quite a ways.
5 miles? That's pretty shallow.
Yeah. So.
Well, it looks like what Mariposa had a 2.7 right now. That's
there's a big fire by Mariposa.
Yes, there is.
And another one started just north of it tonight.
Yep. When we look on the fires, I'll show you.
There's a new one called Granite Fire. It started like a few hours ago.
Thompson, French, and Shearing. I don't see that.
There's another one called Granite that's just above it a little bit. It's not on there yet.
Yeah, it's not.
Because I read it about 2 hours ago when I was looking up the new fires, because I wanted to see how big the Placerville one was now.
This the Thompson fire you're talking about? That's up
No, the one by Placerville just started tonight too, or early this afternoon. It was burning up the airport in Placerville, the hangars.
Show this tab.
They named it Pay Fire, Pay. So I don't know why they called it that. But.
Dirty. Let's go natural color fire.
And they were evacuating a whole bunch of people in Placerville or Placerville, however they say it.
No, Placerville, yeah. All right, let's go to localized sectors, Central California. Push go.
Because I zoomed in on it on firms, and it was showing it. It wasn't showing it as a fire. It just had the dots or the
right. You can see it right in here. There's something. There's a red right there too. Hotspots. Not seeing a whole lot on COD. But you can see the Thompson fire here.
Yeah, they were putting water bombers and everything on that last night, I think it was. Thompson.
That's the Oroville one. But you see it right down in here. Here's Placerville. And you know who lives there, right?
Yeah. That's
Baby duck.
When I noticed it. Because it came up in my... Because I've been looking up so many wildfire things lately that now I get all the things come up in my news feed whenever there's a new one. Right. So then I go and look and I say, oh, where's that?
All right, today. Yeah, I have to go in the 24 hours, then it shows up.
Yeah, because supposedly firms is supposed to update every 5 minutes on the actual firm's website, and every 60 minutes if you have the KML file in Google Earth. That's what I read today.
That's where you
but it doesn't update with the fire name that fast. So I have to search that area, and then it will give me what the name of the fire is, because it's on the Cal Fire thing or whatever it goes to. It'll tell me the name when you go on the Cal fire incident thing. And they usually name them pretty quick. It's just the name of the fire doesn't show up on firms until like probably the next day or something like that.
Yeah, we're looking at it right now. Lake Girl near her.
Because it's right by the airport. It was burning
Yeah.
some hangars on the edge of the airport when I looked at it there a couple hours ago or read about it. Because I just searched articles for it and a whole bunch came up. And they're calling it the Pay Fire, P-A-Y. I don't know why they named it that. But.
Yeah, wildfire evacuations, pay fire spreads at dangerous rate. Burned 6 buildings at the airport. 15 minutes ago.
And the one by Santa Barbara at Zaca Lake is 4,600 acres when I looked here at the same time. Because I looked them all up at the same time. So I wanted to see what they were doing. So I just typed in like the name of the fire.
61 acres have burned so far in Placerville.
And it gave me all the...
So it's much smaller than the one I had. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
61. So evacuation zones here. And they do have it. Yeah, they're calling it the Pay Fire. Yeah. It goes from Highway 50 in the north to whatever that is in the south.
But see, there's that big fire down that way. When was that? 2 years ago that burnt towards Tahoe. Started.
Yeah, and it did very, very bad damage. El Dorado Sheriff's Office is saying this is where the fire is. Placerville's here. And it looks like it's green, so maybe you can still get through. I understand. All right. Look like it, yeah. It followed the airport. Burning right down here.
Well, if I remember right, there's a fault that goes up that road that goes to Tahoe. So I looked them all up back when it was happening here.
The 50?
Yeah.
Yeah, we sent
I don't remember what the fault was called.
Air filters. JSL sent them 2 air filters. One of them kept being sent back. I still have that one. It's busted, but it still works. And also I sent new filters to them because their place was really, really, really bad. And I think even at the time, Dutch may have sent as well. But I know JSL did. I mean, they lost their they lost their house in a fire. They had to move with their parents. Then that fire happened, and then this last year, a very, very, very bad accident happened. And if y'all, have the mind to pray for them, pray for their mom who was in the hospital. I don't know if she's out yet, but the father got himself crushed by the tractor and he lost a leg. So pretty bad. And he was saved by Sonny. Sonny saved him. And which is...
They've had a lot going on then in the last few years.
Yeah. Sonny was, he heard the guy calling out and yeah. Image Airbus Technologies. They have the wrong street name for my house, so it's all good. But yeah, unfortunately, very, very sad. I don't know, is Lake Girl still here? Burning hangars. Don't airports have fire trucks? I know, right? It's a crop dusting fire airport, maybe. I don't know.
Well, yeah, usually the small ones don't have it. They just call the local fire department, I think. But the
Yeah.
small, because I know our little airport we have, and where I am, they don't have fire trucks. They just call the town to come if anything catches on fire over there.
Yeah, there's so much going on. I'm seeing people talking about a magnitude 9.3 online.
9.3.
Yeah,
Where?
Pacific Northwest.
I don't know where they're getting that from.
But
they haven't studied what it does before it does that.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to worry about it going 9 till I see 7s on the East Coast, a 7 at New Madrid, and an 8 in Salton Sea.
Dang it. Clemmer.
That's how it's going to work when it goes 9.
Yeah, I still have a half of one.
Because that's what it did basically from 1663 to 1699, right before.
Well, wouldn't you see at least a lower 8 on the West Coast first before you'd see a 9.3?
Well, that's what they think the Salton Sea one was at 1690, but of course there's no Salton Sea there. It was what was left of Lake Kauai, if there was anything at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Lake Kauai?
Yeah, which was the big lake that was there before Salton Sea, because Salton Sea didn't show up till 1905, I think it was. So before 1905, there was no Salton Sea. It was just desert. Going back until, like, when the Spanish first came there was what was left of Lake whatever. The big gigantic lake that was there before that at one point went all the way down to Mexicali by Cerro Prieto. If you read about the ancient Lake Kauai.
Yeah, that was fresh water, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was all stuff that was there from the Colorado River, I guess.
Right.
Which is basically what made Salton Sea, too.
Salton Sea came and went, then man made it. And
yeah, Salton Sea this time was made by man, but
yeah,
before there was other lakes there of different sizes. Like back before 1700. Well, 17, whatever it was when the Spanish came, 1760 or whatever it was. They were in LA base in 1769. That's when they came ashore there. But I think they were up like in Baja and up through that way before they went in the LA basin. So say like 1750. Which they say there was like ships, like a wreckage of ship up there with no water back in the 1700s.
How big of an area do you think would have to slip to throw a 9.3 earthquake out on the West Coast? Would you have like 1,000 miles slip?
Yeah, it would have to be like the same as what the Chile one did in 1960. Because it was 9.5.
So basically from what all the way from Seattle all the way down through Salton Sea, wouldn't it be? Or pretty close to that?
Well, I think the Chile one was like 1,100 kilometers. I think it slipped, or 1,000, something like that. So about because the Cascadia now won them while they debate, which before they were saying the full rip was 1,100 kilometers. But now with that new study, they're saying that it was just one segment, so it wouldn't be that long.
Right.
And the Alaska one, I forget what it was, the 1964 one.
That was like what 800 and some kilometer rip, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think something like 800.
That's 600 miles.
So that's it. I mean, that is either way you look at it, that would be quite a long stretch of fault slipping to cause an earthquake that big.
Yeah.
Pretty serious.
Oh, what
Yes.
the Light Girl said, could I say what again? Oh, about the stuff that happened before the 9 happened in 1700? Is that what she means?
I think so.
Yeah, so because I've studied all the historical quakes, this is what happened in the 1600s. There was a 6.5 in New Hampshire in 1638. There was a 7 plus Charlevoix seismic zone, but they felt it in Boston and in Montreal in 1663. They've done the studies on it, and it was as big as the New Madrid quakes. 1699, there was a quake December 25th, so on Christmas Day. In 1699, near Memphis, there was missionaries going through there that were going to visit the Indians. I can't remember which tribe. And they got knocked off their feet, but it was basically right by Memphis, where Memphis is now. So that's the first record of Europeans recording a quake in Tennessee. It's December 25th, 1699, which just happens to be exactly 1 month before Cascadia 1700. And then when I've been studying all the historical quakes in California, they think there was the biggest quake on the southern San Andreas at Salton Sea was 1690, based upon the fault studies they've done by Salton Sea, and they think it was like a near 8, or the computer model that's based upon a 7.8 at Salton Sea, which the USGS has for the computer models for the different faults going off. That's what it's based on. So it's based upon what happened in 1690, if you read all the information about it.
So you say that was near an 8.
Yeah.
And then we have in 1872, we have a near 8 in
Owens Valley.
Owens Valley.
Yeah, because Susan Huff is the one.
1906, we have a near 8 up in San Francisco.
Yeah, so Susan Huff, she's the one that
That's
did
the
all
new
the,
girl. Yeah.
yeah, that did all the presentations like in the last few years about saying that the quake that was at Owens Valley was 7.9, based upon all the stuff that she knows about, that she studied about the faults and everything with it. And she's like one of the big honchos there now. She's like the expert on all the historical quakes and stuff. And so she is arguing, and a bunch of other people are saying it was big as the 1906 quake. So Owens Valley and the 1906 San Fran quake were the 2 biggest ones that they like recorded, and people were there Europeans were there to experience it or have it recorded on seismos or whatever. But they found out like quite a bit from all the different fault studies, which I read all the time because I'm a maniac.
But you're our maniac.
Yeah. And then I go back and connect them with all these other ones that happened the same time, because also in 1690, there was a big quake in the Caribbean that made a tsunami. So same year as the one in southern San Andreas. And there also was a big Amazon quake in the Amazon
Where,
that year too.
where was the one in was it in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, I was up around Puerto Rico, up around that area somewhere. One of the islands there, Martinique, or one of the British Virgin Islands that are the ones just a little past Puerto Rico. That's where it
Mhm.
was. It was up by those islands, and they actually have records of it because there was Spanish settlers and everything there then. So you can look them all up because I've looked up all the different Caribbean ones, and then I've looked up the South America ones, and I always find them. And when I do it, it always makes a big triangle, even back then. And they have a lot of them on that database that I use. It's the world one that goes back to the year 1000. I'll put it in here because I have the website. So you can go, it records like all the big quakes that they have records of going back to the year 1000. From like now right on back to then. I'm gonna bring it up here. So I use that to find a bunch, and then I go looking around to see if I can find any other ones that are not as obvious, depending on who has the records. And then I make I say, oh, look, Turkey goes off at the same time as that one. I've done that numerous times too, from this global historical earthquake archive is what it's called. So I'll put the link to that in there. I have to go to other sources if I want like a smaller one, a 6 or under, but I do that too if I want to strengthen my case about how this works. So it's usually easier to find the information on the bigger quakes, but you can fill in all the other gaps on the lineaments if you really start digging. That's the one I use now for all the big obvious historical ones going back to the year 1000.
Okay.
Yeah, because it has them all listed in there. You can click on them. It shows where it is on a map, and it lists them all by date, starting from like the year 1000 right on up. So you can look and see all the biggest ones that happened in whatever year all over the planet that we know about.
Right.
Like I imagine there was ones happening where people weren't there yet, or people that weren't recording it, so we don't have information on them. Because there's like gaps, like for Alaska, because the Russians were there and then they left. So the Russians were recording quakes up in Alaska up until 1788, but then most of them left because of tsunamis and earthquakes at Sand Point, ironically. And they left, and then, well, of course, the Spanish didn't get up there till later, so around like the 1800s, and then, well, the English came too. And so once people were up there, then they started recording all the quakes again. So we have the quakes in Alaska starting up again, like around the end of the 1800s, because people were up there recording them all. But you had like 100 years where you were missing. Even though if you went and asked the Haida Gwaii people or any of the native peoples who were up there, they said, oh, yeah, we get earthquakes all the time. But they weren't writing them down and putting dates on them. They have all sorts of stories about them, but it's not like a specific date like what Europeans or the Asians people would be doing. Yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty wild stuff. Yeah, because they left Kodiak Island in 1788 because there was two back-to-back quakes near Sand Point, and two big tsunamis came up because where the Russian settlement harbor was, Colony Harbor, was on the western side of Kodiak Island. It's called Old Harbor now. That's why it's called Old Harbor. And there's two tsunamis that came in there in the summer of 1788, and it took out the settlement. So they left there in 1788, said, screw this, we're not dealing with two big earthquakes and two massive tsunamis back to back. So they said, we're out of here. So later on in 1867, so that would be like a little less than 100 years later, they sold Alaska to the States.
Well, they needed some money.
Yep. So that's what they did. Even though the Russian settlements were all the way down to Northern California back then. And because I studied like how the Spanish came up, and the Russians were actually with the native peoples in Haida Gwaii. The Russians were there first, trading stuff with them for furs and other things, agricultural things, and then the Spanish came not long after that. So that was like in the, I think it was like late 1700s, early 1800s. So it was crazy stuff. And they have records of like when they were coming on the ships there that they felt quakes up by Haida Gwaii, like the Spanish. And they asked the native peoples there in Haida Gwaii, and they said, "Oh yeah, it does that all the time." But Haida Gwaii people, it was all normal to them, right? They said, "Well, we're not too concerned about it. That's what it does." But the Spanish wanted to know about it, but so that's how it worked. So it's kind of funny. The Haida Gwaii people were more concerned about trading with either the Russians or the Spanish people, the explorers that were up there. They weren't too concerned about telling them about earthquakes. So I don't know. It's just funny when you read all this exploration stuff, which I like doing because I'm a lunatic, because it all ties in together. It's crazy stuff. And there was a Russian colony down in Northern California. I forget what the name of it was. Around the same time that the Spanish were coming up there too. So that would have been like late 1700s, early 1800s. So the Russians actually made it all the way down to Northern California before the Spanish got there.
And then they turned around and said, "Nope,
Yeah. So
out of here."
it's wild stuff.
Yes, sir.
And of course, the Spanish have all the records of the earthquakes when they settled in California, which are all the ones from 1769 to whatever year the Spanish-American War, whatever the war that gave California to the States. So so it's actually in all the Spanish records, all the earthquakes in California for 1812 and all that time period from 1769 through 1812.
Well, I just saw an article right now that said, I know it's not on the same subject, but Schumann resonance spiking off the chart July 1st, 2024. That's weird. We got to know more about that Schumann resonance stuff. I don't know much about it, but it's all part of our electromagnetic planet.
Yeah, because the Schumann is the frequency that you have to have normal on the space shuttle or on any of the space station or whatever, or all the humans go nuts. So it's like the vibration of what the frequency that Earth is at, and it goes up and down depending on what's happening out in space. For space weather affects it somehow, and that's what the debate is. So the vibration goes up or goes down depending. Like, I don't know why it would have went up on July 1st. You'd have to figure out what was going on that day.
That's why I was saying maybe, Well, all right. I'm fading right now. 2 hours, 18 minutes in. Canuck, is there anything else you want to add, or do you want to go another hour? Or
No,
you want to
I'm
say?
good.
All right. What about you, Clemmer Doodle?
I'm good, bud.
Yeah.
We had quite a rabbit hole tonight.
I don't know. I think they're getting bigger and better.
Yeah,
Yes,
and I
they are.
love tracing all my historical earthquakes, so I could do like probably 500 shows just on that.
I know, bud. And I do appreciate you doing that, for all of us, because, you're your addition is to the JSL thing. That's really great. I thank you for so much. Flutter Girl's out there. I didn't see her for a minute. Thought she had
Yeah,
done.
your wealth of knowledge, bud. Greatly appreciated because I learned something every time.
Yeah, I do too. I like picking his brain, even though it's a triple decker. And no, I'm not sticking my finger up his nose. He's on the other side of the country.
Yep. I'm way far away.
No, he we're doing that as we talk. Late girl says, "Do you have your research written down?" No, it's in his brain, and I get to unlock him. And
Yeah.
it's-
Well, it's like basically one big quake doesn't come by itself. There's always a lead up, and it's always connected on the liniment lines. And there's more involved than just that too, because now it's wildfires and all sorts of other crazy stuff too.
yeah,
So you just keep adding more stuff to it. That if I tried to do all this stuff 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, or 20 years ago, you wouldn't have all the ways to prove it now that we have now. Because I can't even tell you how many different databases I'm using to do all this stuff. Like it's probably, who knows, 50, 100
Oof, yeah.
at least.
I'm just using the articles, and then one article leads to another article, which leads to another article, and it's like, wow, okay.
I know how to do it by state or province or all that now, because I can go and find all the other smaller quakes in between if there was people recording them going back 100 or 200 years.
Right up in Canada.
So it's not too hard for me to do. It's even easier in Europe and Asia because their records go back farther. But of course, I'm more interested in North America, so that's kind of what I focus on.
Well, of course. And you did have an earthquake this last week up your area. It wasn't necessarily near you, but I think it was
pretty close. 124 kilometers away from me on the same fault that goes by me.
But you didn't feel it?
Well, I don't know if I did or not. I was out banging nail and siding on the back of the porch.
You didn't feel it.
But stuff fell over on the back of the porch.
Oh,
I thought it was from me nailing. It might not have been. It might have been the quake.
Yeah. What was her name?
Yeah. I was so busy nailing. I was focused on that.
Yeah, you're putting up those boards, I know.
Yeah.
Removing the boards.
Yeah. And then my sister comes out and goes, she said, "Why did all that stuff fall over?" When I said I assume it was from me nailing, because she was in the kitchen. So she heard the stuff fall over on the porch. And but then I came back inside, and that's when I saw on my phone that we had the 3.2 because I had the proximity alert on my phone.
Yeah, 3.2 is very, very, very light. Lake Girl, you said you're in a basement. Your husband locked you in the basement?
But it's on the exact same fault line as the one that had the 5.8 back in 1982.
I kind of like the guy. Yes, our bedroom is in the basement. Wow, and you don't feel anything. Huh.
And I felt that one because I was 8 years old when that.
Yeah, you did. You felt the one. So you know what it feels like. I cringe at the thought of feeling any more earthquakes. God.
Yeah. And Mom and Dad blamed it on me and my sister in the same room that I'm in now. We were up here playing cars and with our
Matchbox
Tonka vehicles and all that stuff. And
all the Tonkas.
They were down in the kitchen eating breakfast or doing something, and they said, "What are you guys doing up there?" And we go, "We're not doing anything." The house is shaking. And then they go, "Oh, earthquake." And then I went to school like the next day or whatever and said, "Well, why are we having earthquakes here?" And the teacher said New Brunswick doesn't have earthquakes. So I didn't believe the teacher. So I went to the library and looked it up and found out New Brunswick's had all sorts of earthquakes.
Yeah. Well, she started you off.
Yeah.
You challenge authority. Every authority you challenge, buddy.
Well, I don't know if it's challenging authority. I just don't believe what they say, so I go look it up myself.
Cave girl sounds right. Oh my gosh.
It's a lot easier to do it now on the computer than it was to go to the library back in the day.
Yeah, but of course back then I did the same thing. That's how I found out all sorts of stuff back then. So that was before the internet.
Yeah.
Man, I love picking your brain because stuff comes out of it that you don't even know is in there, and then all of a sudden it comes out. It's like, whoa. Luke, you have anything you want to add to close out?
I'm good for the night.
I am too, and I apologize. It's 2 hours 25 minutes out there in La La Land, and remember the rabbit holes. You know, yeah, screen, window. There it is. There you go. The rabbit hole was created to dive deeper into subjects that needed further examination. Hi, I'm Joe, and my guest and I will take you on a journey of discovery and exploration. We will provide insight and theories regarding the subjects we discuss. Come join us live at joeslicklive.locals.com, or you can join us on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube. Thanks, and look forward to seeing you. And remember, don't get none on you. Make sure you like and follow and subscribe. Thank you so much. Love y'all. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.